Yesterday, former FBI agent Charles McGonigal was arrested for allegedly violating sanctions against a Russian oligarch. But boy, that Russian oligarch's name, he sounded familiar. And this FBI agent, he was part of the Crossfire Hurricane investigation into Donald Trump. So there you go. The Justice Department finally cleaning up the deep state operatives at the FBI. They got their man. We can all rest easy. The FBI is clean and pristine again, right? Right? Maybe not. Joining us now is Lee Smith, investigative journalist, author of The Permanent Coup and The Plot Against the President, and frankly has forgotten more about shenanigans at the FBI and the intelligence communities than most journalists ever dare to find out. Lee, thank you for joining us.
Hey, Larry, thank you very much for inviting me on to speak with you and your awesome audience.
So let's start with this Russian oligarch. I saw this guy's name, Oleg Deripaska. Wasn't he one of the key figures in the Steele dossier?
It's a familiar name, isn't it, Larry? And that's thanks to the Federal Bureau of Investigation, which has been working with Oleg Deripaska going back about a decade and a half.
Wow.
It starts, of course, when under Robert Mueller, they recruit Deripaska to fund an investigation to try to get Robert Levinson, former FBI agent, who was in Iran, captured by the Iranians and held in Iran. He was on a mission for the CIA, and they got Deripaska to fund an investigation, about $25 million, according to John Solomon's reporting from a few years ago. So look, they've been working with Deripaska, the FBI, for a very long time, and that's one of the first things that I'm sure your listeners, or helped your listeners show that this story is fishy.
Fishy, you say. So now this is interesting. So Deripaska, you got to need, a whole roadmap to figure out who's connected to who. Is he like friendly with Putin now, or now he's trying to overthrow Putin? I don't know. What's his disposition on the current Russian government?
Well, it's funny because they always describe Deripaska as an oligarch close to Putin, which is preposterous because anyone who's in Russia making money is not going to be an adversary of Vladimir Putin, right? So they always try to paint these guys pro or anti-Putin oligarchs, which is preposterous.
Right.
If they're in Russia, even if they're in London, they're going to be pro-Vladimir Putin. So yeah, of course, Deripaska is relatively close to Putin as far as we can tell.
All right.
But that's not the key to the story. The key to the story is how close Deripaska is to the FBI.
Right. This guy, Charles McGonigal, who's now being arrested, and I love the charge for violating sanctions against Deripaska. Why do we have sanctions against this guy if we've been giving him money ourselves for the last 10 or 15 years? But he violated these sanctions. McGonigal left the FBI in 2018 and now obviously strikes up a relationship, a financial and business relationship with this individual. That doesn't sound right if he's been sanctioned by the U.S. government. What's really at play here?
Larry, you can bet that McGonigal had a relationship with Deripaska long before he left the Bureau, right? All of these guys did. There's a very important story from the New York Times in 2018 about how Christopher, none other than Mr. Dossier himself, Christopher Steele, James Bond of the Hillary Clinton set, and Bruce Orr took a whole bunch of FBI agents to go and try to recruit Oleg Deripaska as a confidential human source. I will bet you if we were to see a list of the FBI agents who attended that meeting in New York, I bet one of them is the now indicted former counterintelligence chief in the New York office of the FBI.
Wow.
So 100% this guy McGonigal knew Deripaska. They all knew Deripaska. They were trying to recruit him. Here's the other thing, Larry, that is pretty shocking. You may remember during the Igor Danchenko trial when it came out that Christopher Steele was offered $1 million to verify the dossier.
Right.
Well, what happened was almost certainly, right, the FBI knew it was a bogus story. They knew Trump was not colluding with the Russians. So what did they mean for Christopher Steele to go out and verify a story they themselves knew to not be true? What it meant was back to Oleg Deripaska and getting Deripaska to say, yeah, sure, it's all true, whatever you say. Carter Page, Paul Manafort, Michael Flynn, Donald Trump, They all colluded with Russia. But of course, Deripaska wasn't going to do that and put Vladimir Putin in the middle of an intelligence operation. So this just shows you the extent of the FBI's relationship with Oleg Deripaska. And now we find that a former FBI agent is being indicted, because of his illicit relationship with Deripaska. Well, but we've just gone through the entire the entire bureau's bizarre relationship with Oleg Deripaska.
And this FBI agent in particular happened to be one of the first people. He was with counterintelligence. That's the division of the FBI that instigated the investigation into the Trump campaign back in 2016, July of 2016. He was one of the first FBI agents to hear about George Papadopoulos and this infamous conversation that happened in a bar in London where Papadopoulos suggested they had dirt on Hillary Clinton. We're told that that's what started the whole investigation. So he really is a key player here, Lee?
Well, look, this is a guy who could have said, being the head of counterintelligence in the New York office, he's the guy who could have said at the very beginning, yeah, this is not right. Trying to get a warrant to spy on Carter Page is not right. Carter Page is one of ours. I don't know about his relationship with the CIA, but I do know one thing. Carter Page sure tried to help us, or he did help us, put away a whole bunch of Russian spies who were operating out of New York. Right. So this kind of guy.
Yeah, that's right. He would know that. If Carter Page ever had any experience with the FBI, the CIA, and Russian spies, it was to help them, to actually help catch the bad guys. And of course, Carter Page is the one that was spied on with the FISA warrant, a guy who graduated from the Naval Academy and has never been arrested for speeding, as far as I know, let alone espionage. So Lee, here's what people will say. They're going to say, hey, Lee, adjust your tinfoil hat, dude, because if this guy has been arrested for colluding with Oleg Deripaska, that proves there isn't a deep state. Because if there was a deep state, they'd be protecting this guy. We wouldn't even hear this story if there was a deep state.
No, nonsense. What it means is that it's just another indication that this is a federal bureaucracy that's totally out of control. They hung out this guy for, look, not in defense of this guy. What he did was clearly wrong. What I'm saying is it's quite clear, given the FBI's long relationship with Oleg Deripaska, there's something else here, right? All of these people are out of control. There are no guardrails at the FBI. For whatever reason, they're hanging this guy out to dry, related to Oleg Deripaska. Yeah. That's the tip-off. There's a deep state, and look, it's the old saying about thieves have no honor. That's what's going on here. For whatever reason, this guy came up. They're hanging him out to dry. And again, let's shed no tears for a man who broke the law. On the other hand, let's not turn around and go, the FBI, what an outstanding, upright American institution. Nonsense.
So it sounds like you're telling me that Mr. McGonigal should be concerned if they put him in Jeffrey Epstein's cell there in New York.
Look, they should be concerned about McGonigal. If for whatever reason this guy starts to talk about Oleg Deripaska, there could be a lot of people in trouble. I certainly hope he does start to talk. Let's see.
We'll watch that space, and we'll certainly continue to watch Lee Smith's extraordinary byline. Again, he's the author of The Permanent Coup and the Plot Against the President, and he's the perfect person to talk to on days like this. You're watching Salem News Channel. There's more to come on O'Connor Tonight.